So the first problem is asking on the graph which part is strictly increasing, then strictly decreasing. So we can just go over all those parts. So for between 0 and 30 minutes, it goes increasing and then flat. So it's not A. And for B, from 40 to 60, it increased from 40 to 60, to 50, and then decreased from 50 to 60. So that is the part where the question wants. And for 50 to 65, that is decrease, increase, and flat. So it's wrong. For 70 to 90 minutes, it is flat and then increase, so it is also wrong. For the second problem, it gives where k is a constant and y equals 24 when x equals 6. So we move x to the left side and get y over x equals to k. And it means we get the value of k. But here the question wants the value of y when x equals 5. And we know that y equals kx. It means y and x have the same ratio. And we get that k equals to 4 from y equals 24 and x equals to 6. And so when we put x equals 5 in, as we know that k equals to 4, we get the answer of 20. So the answer is C. For the third question, on the figure, L and M are parallel to each other, and S and T are parallel to each other. And so for the angle 1, we know that this angle here equals to this angle here, this one, and this one also equals to this one since they are parallel, since line L and line M are parallel to each other. We know that this two adds up to be 180 degree. So we use 180 degree to minus 35 degree and get the answer D, 145 degree. For the question 4, it has 16 plus 4x is 10 more than 14. What is 10 more than 14? It is 24. And we know that 16 plus 4x equals to 24, and we know 4x equals to 8. It means x equals to 2, and we want the value of 8x, which will be 16. So the answer will be C. For the first question, it is asking which one best shows a strong negative association between D and T. So first, we need to find out which one are having negative association. And we know that A and D are having a negative association as they are having a slope that is less than 1. And here, it is also wanted strong association, which means they need to be as tight as possible. And we compare D and A, and we get that D is way more tense compared to A. And so we get the answer as D. For the sixth question, it wants to ask how many 1 milligram doses are there in 1 decagram container. And so we goes to the chart it gives us. In 1 decagram equals to 10 grams. This means 2 decagram container have 20 grams. And 20 grams means 1 grams equals to 1,000 milligrams, and 20 grams means it is 20,000 milligrams. This will give us the answer of D. And for the seventh one, it asked for the appropriate label for the vertical axis of the graph. And now we see the vertical level of the graph are from 0 to 9. And we know the total number of the installation is 27,500. And so basically we can find out what are the 0.5 scales on the graph, which is only here from E. And that will be a 0.5, which will equals to where it adds up to be 500. If we convert 0.5 and 500 to 1 to something, we realize that it will be converted to 1 to the thousands. This means the answer of this problem will be C, as it says in thousands. For the eighth one, what value of n is n minus 1 absolute value plus 1 equals to 0. So we first move plus 1 to the right side, which means we get the absolute value need to be equals to -1. So we know that absolute values must be positive. So this one, the answer will be D, because it is impossible for us to have an absolute value that is equals to -1. For the ninth one, here we want to know what t is. So we first move 1052 to the left side, gives us a minus 1052, and then divide both sides by 1.08. It gives us the answer of A. And for question 10, it is asking for the speed of the sound wave that is closest to 1,000 feet per second. And for this one, we can put the 1,000 feet to here, because in the question it says between A, which is the speed of the sound wave, in feet per second. That will means when we're trying to put the number back into the equation, we need to put this feet per second into here, which is also in feet per second. So A equals to 1,000. It means 1,000 equals to 1,052 plus 1.08 t. This will give us the part where 1.08 t equals to -52 if we subtract both sides by 1,052. For 1.08 t equals to -52, if we put it into calculator, we will find out that it is approximately -48. That will give us the answer of B. Next one, it asks for the solution for inequality 3x minus 5 larger or equals to 4x minus 3. For this one, we subtract both sides by 3x and get a -5 larger or equals to x minus 3. And then we move -5 to the right side, which gives us x plus 2 smaller or equals to 0. If x plus 2 smaller or equals to 0, it means x is smaller or equals to it means x is smaller or equals to -2. In this one, it is asking what is not a solution of the equality, which means x minus 2 needs to be larger or equals to 0, which means x is larger or equals to -2. And this will give us the only solution, which is a -1 is larger than -2. For question 12, it is asking the closest to the average number of seeds per apple. And so we times each, which is 2 times 3, because the number of seeds and the number of apples means for each number of seeds, how many apples are there. And so we're trying to find out the total number of seeds. So we use 3 times 2, which is 6, plus 5 times 4, which is 20, plus 6, plus 7 times 2, which is 14, and plus 9 times 3, which is 27. It adds up to be 63. And we use 63 to divide it by 12, which gives us an answer of approximately which adds up to be 73 instead of 63. And 73 divided by 12 equals to 6 point something, which is approximately 6. So we get the answer of C. For question 13, here we see in which category accounts for approximately 19% of all survey responded. We know the total number is around 310, which means 90% of it is around 57 and 58. That makes, so when we're trying to find out which one had the simplest one, we find out that it will be around 59 and 57 for male taking geometry and male taking algebra 2. And we know that male taking algebra 2 are not here, so that will be C, male taking geometry. For question 14, we're trying to find which will change the most if the 24-inch measurement is removed from the data. If the 24 measurement is moved from the data, we absolutely know that the range will change, but it won't change. It will shorten from 8 to 24 into 8 to 16. However, the median won't change much because there are 21 samples, which will not be shifted too much if we take just only one out. And so the min will also not change too much because the numbers are around 8 to 24 and that adds up to a pretty big number, and taking out the 24 won't affect it too much. This means the one that will be changed the most will be the range. For question 15, we want to know what does the c-intercept represent in the graph. The c-intercept here is at this point where time equals to 0. So we want to know when time equals to 0, what is the cost of the dollar of renting the boat. So think about it. It means what money do you need to pay for start renting a boat. That will be the initial cost of renting the boat, which will be A. For question 16, which of the following represents a relationship between H and C? The relationship between H and C, we need to first find the c-intercept. The c-intercept here is 5. So we know that C equals something plus 5. So it's either B or C. And then we find the slope of it. Here, from time shifting from 0 to 1, the c-intercept increases for 3. It means the slope will be 3. This gives us the answer of C. For question 17, for what value x is the value of f(x) as its minimum? So the minimum of the f(x) here is at this point. At this point, the x value is -3. So the answer for 17 is -3. For 18, it is trying to ask what following relationship between A and B must be true. So here we know that y is smaller than -x plus A and y is larger than x plus B. And here, it means when we know that y is larger than x plus b, we know that and here we have a 0, 0, which is the solution of the inequality. So we put the 0, 0 back to the equation, which gives us 0 is smaller than a and 0 is larger than b. What can we know from 0 is smaller than a and larger than b? It means b is a negative number and a is a positive one. So we know a is positive and b is negative. We get that a is larger than b, which gives us the answer of A. For question 19, it asked for how many salads were sold at the day where $6.5 are for salads each and drink is for $2 each. And we know we have the number of total drink of 209 salads and drinks. So we assume that everyone, for the 209 things that are sold, we assume all of them are drinks. That will give us $418. But there's differences. The differences will be $418.5, which are the differences. So we know that those are the money which are made for selling the salad instead of selling the drinks. But since we assume they also the drink, it means the differences will be $4.5 for each salad sold. So we use 418.5 divided by $4.5. This gives us the answer of this gives us the answer of $93, 93 cents. So that will be the salads, which will be 93 stellas, giving us the answer. Okay, for the 20th problem, we know the amount that she paid to the cashier was $8, and then the things that are what happened is there is a 8% sales tax included, which means it will be 1.08 times what the original price was. And then there's also a 20% discount, which means it will be 0.8 times the original price what she paid. So that will be P dollars over 1.08 times 0.8, which gives us the answer of D. For 21, it is asking the probability that a person belongs to group Y. The probability that a person belongs to group Y for those at random from those who recall at least one dream. At least one dream includes from 1 to 4 and 5 or more. That will be 39 plus 125 in total. This gives us 164. And then what we get from group Y will be 11 plus 68, which will be 79. 79 over 164 will be the answer. For question 22, we want to know what is the average rate of change in the annual budget for agriculture, blah blah blah, from 2008 to 2010. That will be agriculture 2008 to 2010, and it wants the average rate of change. So we have this and this. We have the differences between 488 and 358, which will be around 130,000 with the label of in thousands of dollars. So it'll be $130,000 per 2 year, and then we divide it by 2, which gives us the amount that we want, $65 million per year. For 23, it asked for the program's ratio of its 2007 budget to its 2010 budget closest to human resource program ratio of, so we find human resources 2007 to 2010, which is around 4 to 6, and so we want to know what is the another 2007 to 2010 budget around 2 to 3. That will be education, because that is 2.1 something to 3 point something. That will be B for question 23. Alright, for question 24, we want to know the equation of the circle in the xy plane with center 0, 4. And here, we get it from here, 0, 4. We know the equation for the circle of having a center of 0, 4 means it is x squared plus x minus 4 squared, which will be the answer from their A and C. And then we find the radius, because the thing to the right is the square of the radius. The radius will be 4 over 3 minus 0 plus a square plus 5 minus 4 squared, which will be 16 over 9 plus 1, which will be 25 over 9. And that will be the square of the radius. And so we know the answer is A, because the square of radius is 25 over 9. For question 25, it wants to approximate how many seconds will the ball hit the ground. So we have the initial velocity of 25 meters per second at that is the 25 meters per second here, and we have the h as height and the t as the time, so it will directly launch, and so we just need to find out what will this be. The question wants to know what is the time, what is t when the ball hits the ground, which will be when h equals to 0. When h equals to 0, 0 equals t times 25 minus 4.9t, which gives us the answer of t either equals to 0 or t equals to 25 over 4.8, which 4.9, which is approximately 5.0, giving us the answer of D. For question 26, it wants to know how many pairs did the type B tree produce. And so we have type A tree produces 144 pairs, and it produced 20% more than type B trees did. It means we need to use 144 times 122 over 100. It means it will be 144 divided by 12, then times 10, which gives us the answer of B. For question 27, it wants us to see what is the reasonable approximation of the number of earthworms to the depths of 5 centimeters beneath the ground surface in the entire field. That will be asking about the number of so we need to find out what is the the depths of 5 centimeter beneath the ground surface here. And so from here we see each region is squared and I have a depth of 5 centimeter beneath the ground surface in each region. And so that means we just directly need to find out the number of all the regions added together. That will be just put into the calculator of each value and add them together, which will be approximate 1500, which will be approximately 1500 here. But there is a small problem here, which is shown here. There are 10 students in total, and each are marking one region. So in total, there are only 1/10 of the total field are being measured, and that is the number that we get around 1500 here. So 1500 is the 1/10 of the original value, which means the original value will be 15,000 earthworms. So the answer will be C. For question 28, we have the system y larger or equals to 2x plus 1 and y larger than 1/2 x minus 1. And so where contains no solution. This one is pretty easy since we directly need to draw 2x plus 1 and 1/2 x minus 1 on the graph, which will be looks like here, like from here across in 1, 2, and 3 here, which will be y plus that, which will be above that line, which means it only can be from quadrant 1, 2, and 3. It means that it can never have a solution from quadrant 4, so the answer will be C. For question 29, it says P3 is negative 2. And so we need to know what is must be true about Px. It means when we put 3 into x, the answer will be negative 2. And so we can go through all the answers. There is, for x minus 5 must be a factor of Px. It is not possible because if we have a x minus 5 times something, it will not yield the same thing. For example, 2 times x minus 5 will gives us the answer of negative 4 when we put P3 into it. So A is not true. As the same as A, B, and C are also not true. So the remaining one must be D. And so another reason for why D is true. If we put 3 in there, because Px divided by x minus 3 is negative 2, so if we put 3 inside, it will definitely give us the answer of negative 2. For question 30, it wants to know which of the coordinate can be identified as constant in the equation. So this means we need to have every other stuff being being paired up except for a leftover value which shows what is at the point A. Besides, it must be vertex. So it means must be only one value of x. So which one have only one value possible for x to make the parenthesis thing equals to 0? It must be D, because that gives the square of the x minus something. It means that when x equals to 1, this one must be 0. And the vertex we can get is negative 13. So the answer will be D. For here, we know 12,000, at least 12,000 per hour, and at least 18,000 per at most 18,000 per hour. So the possible amount of time will be 72 divided by 12, which is 6 hours at most, and 4 hours at least. So that will be for any number between 4 and 6 hours. For this one, we want to know the maximum possible value for x will keep the combined weight of the truck driver and boxes. That will so for x is the identical box for the 14 pounds thing. The weight of the driver and truck will be 4,500. So the possible amount of things that we can carry at most will be 1,500 pounds. When we use 1,500 pounds to divide it by 14 pounds, gives us the answer of 107 point something, which will not exist which will not be more than 107 in any case. So the answer will be 107. For question 3, what is the number of portable media players sold in 2008 is what fraction of the number of 2011? We see here at 2011 it is 160 and 2008 is 100. 100 over 160 will be equivalent to 5 over 8. So the answer will be 5 over 8. For 34, it asks for a 30 minutes interval and asking for the total number of 30 minutes time slots the station can sell for Tuesday and Wednesday. So for Tuesday and Wednesday, there are 2 days, times 24, which will be 48 hours. For every hour, there are 60 minutes, 30 minutes each, which means each hour there will be 2 slots. So we use 48 times 2, which is 96 slots in total. For this one, the diameter of the base, we know that height is 8 yards, so the surface area must be 9 pi yards squared. So 9 pi yards squared, the area of the circle will be pi r squared, which means r squared is 9. So the r will be 3. The diameter then will be 6. For question 36, what value of x above will make it undefined? To make it undefined, we need this one to be 0. So we set x minus 5 to y. And so we know y squared plus 4y plus 4 equals to 0. It means y plus 2 squared equals to 0 and y equals to negative 2. And now we see x minus 5 equals to negative 2. And so x will be 3. For 37, the value of x in the expression. In the expression, it is 100 times x to the power of t, and we know there is a 2% interest each year, and t is a year. It means x is how much it increases each year. That will be 1, which is the original value which always have, and then plus the 0.002, so x equals to 1.02. For 36, we use calculator to do this one, and then we find out how much each year times 1.025 each year, and then we can get an answer of 6.11.